Dean, thanks for joining us. We watched your side this afternoon draw 1-1 against AFC Wimbledon. Your passage through to the next round was already secured. What did you make of it overall?
It was an interesting game for a couple of reasons, really. We tried a new formation today. We played 3-5-2, and it's not something that the boys have been exposed to before. And we worked on it in training yesterday for an hour and a half, just a little bit more out of possession, how the five work at the back, in the mid-third, into the back third. And I thought they did really well with it today. Out of possession, we looked solid. The times where we came unstuck and gave them chances were more from individual mistakes, and when we lost 1v1s, which is pretty much any formation you can play. But in general play, we looked solid. Didn't give up too many chances. There were a couple of offside goals that were rightfully called offside, where I look at the shape and think, could we have done a little bit better? Maybe. In possession, it was a bit structured. We got into some really good positions into the final third, especially in the second half, that we didn't take, but the pitch kind of killed the game for both teams because it was so wet from yesterday's rain. And the style of football that we want to play with the change of speed and direction, the little bits of combination play in the final third didn't really work today because it was just so wet. And when we got into that final third and you need a little bit of quality, I think the pitch kind of killed it today. But it was a really great attitude, great comeback from the boys. 5 minutes left. Joe Payne striding out from one of the three centre halves to score into the bottom corner, and I spoke to the three boys at centre half about it before the game started. Says to them, if the areas in front of you open up, then I want you to drive in and be aggressive. And Dwight did it a few times. Tom Day not so much from the middle, but Joe was excellent to step out and to score the goal. And I think 1-1 was a fair result for both teams. Given
you were already through and there was nothing to play for in effect, you must have been pleased with the way they kept going. It was kind of hammering at the door for ages before the equaliser did come at the end.
Yeah, the attitude was brilliant. They didn't know that the game was a dead rubber as such. I said to them in the change room before we went out that we'd won 2 and lost 1, they'd won 2 and lost 1, so it was a straight shootout to see who qualified. Thankfully, they hadn't got hold of the next fixture and they didn't know that we were already through, so they took it as a competitive game, and they really played hard for the 90 minutes. Half time it was pretty fair, and I think over the whole 90 minutes a 1-1 draw is a fair result for both teams because we had a couple of good chances, they had a couple of good chances. We probably had more of the ball in possession, circulated it well a few times, but yeah, I think 1-1 is a fair result.
You talk about the system change. What prompted that? Was it you wanted to try it, or was it personnel available?
And we just looked at the personnel. I think sometimes in football you have your favourite formations and you try and squeeze. And I think back to England teams in the past when we used to have Paul Scholes stuck out in left midfield, and you think to yourself, play a formation where you can get your best players in the best positions that they play in. And we looked at the personnel available. Didn't really have too much natural width. So we thought Harry Taylor on the right, David Tatonda on the left as wing backs, 3 centre halves, and then Dan Sweeney and Ryan Watson in centre midfield, Shane in the 10, and then we played 2 centre forwards to give us a little bit of a different threat. And because the result always counts, it's always competitive for me as a coach and a person. But I knew that we were through, so it gave me an opportunity to see these players in these positions and think to myself, well, actually, is it something that we could use in the future when it is a competitive game, when the points do count?
And talking of senior players, you mentioned a couple there were a few involved. How do you feel they came through it?
They did really well actually, and it's not just the football side of things that I was impressed with, it's their relationship with the younger players, and sometimes the language they use with the younger players is not the best, but their desire and their commitment and their driving of the younger players to do better, and not, if a player gives the ball away, it's not hard luck, well done, it's you need to do better. And in and out of possession, Ryan Watson, Dan Sweeney and David Tatonda played really well today. Harry Taylor played a different position, played out on the right as a right wing back, and he was up and down the whole game. Had a great chance with a header as well to equalise before we got the goal through Joe Payne. So their influence on the ball and off the ball was great, and also from a psychological and a social perspective, just chatting to the boys, and when we were 1-0 down they kept driving them, and in the change room at half time they were talking to the boys, and it was great to have them in the group.
And at the other end of the experience scale, you've got Dwight Pascal, who came in at centre half. Obviously know a lot about him from this season, but it was impressive. He was getting stuck in and he really upset a couple of them for his age and his size.
He did, and he's still not 16. He's not 16 until the middle of this month. He's a great kid. He works really hard. He played again in different positions today. He's normally a right back. He's played right-sided centre half for us as well. But we thought we played him as a right of the 3 with Tom in the middle and Joe Payne on the left. And he coped with it really well. He came in last night and we sat down in the office and we looked at some videos on how to play as a right-sided centre half in a 3 at the back, and we went through and we got the tactical board out and we watched a bit of Spurs because they played the system really well this season, and just gave him a feel for what it would look like today. And I thought he coped with it really well, and he was playing against a really competitive, aggressive centre forward as well, and I thought he did really well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.